Team news first of all, who's available, who isn't?
Right now, everyone's technically available, which is good. I think we've had, obviously, the weekend there. Celtic, Jamie came off just before half-time, and then Miguel came off at half-time, with his hamstring. So we've been waiting on the results of his scan. We've had them. It's nothing major significance, which is positive, but we're still going to give that one right to not ruling anybody out at this stage, but there is still time before kick-off tomorrow to really reassess and make sure everybody comes through that, but we most certainly won't be taking any risks at this moment in time. Jamie's trained as well during that period, but the type of injury he's got, it's always about making sure he got back on the grass and then really how he reacts from that, so we'll probably won't really know that until he wakes up tomorrow morning, but as always you'd be expecting every single player's putting their hand up, wanting to play and wanting to be involved in this game, which is a good place to be.
Rocky available again as well?
Yeah, Rocky's available, he's returned back. Everything good, which is positive. Trained well this week, which is another real positive.
There's millions of stats going about these games, about your record, about Ted McKenzie's record. Did it actually mean anything going into this game?
No. I think the only stat that will matter is when the final whistle goes and then you look at the top corner of the screen or whatever it is, if people are watching it telly or whatever it is, and the results, the only thing that matters. I think I use certain things at times for my own incentive for players, just to recreate history if you can and to challenge the players, just to motivate them in different ways. But this is a game that everyone should look forward to, as a Hibs player especially, and I think it's the one you always look at. As soon as the fixtures come out, when's the first derby, and this player should be really looking forward to it.
Arguably some of your better performances this season have come away from home. The draw at Celtic Park, the draw in Michelin, who are doing really well in the Europa League now, the win in Belgrade. Does that help you, being away from home?
No, I think these games are always the same. They're always really high intensity, a lot of emotion around the games. And being away from home, I think it's just as noisy. It's obviously the atmosphere that's there. It's a brilliant place to play. I used to thoroughly enjoy it myself. And I think the fact it's away from home isn't really... You've still got, whatever it is, 3,500 Hibs supporters right behind the goal. So I think it's, it really adds to the occasion. And whether it be at Easter Road, it would be exactly the same with the Hearts fans behind the goal there. So I think it is just a brilliant fixture that I think every player should be really looking forward to.
Is the way Hearts started the season, does that surprise you somewhat?
No, not surprised. I think we've got a good squad, a very experienced manager as well, which is another thing. And they've started well and undefeated in the league. Good start, so we know it's a tough challenge, but even in these games, it's not always about form, it's not always about the team that's maybe playing the better football. It is all about who turns up on the day and in these games and who can be calm in the chaos as well. The team that settles, because they are, as I've just said, a lot of emotion around the game, there's a lot of intensity around it. So it is about the team that can settle the quickest. Both teams go in it undefeated, which is another thing as well. So, and we are only 6 games into the season as well, so I think that's something that we need to be mindful of, and we're very much looking at our level of performance and worrying about making sure we keep improving.
You say that you enjoy playing in these fixtures. Is that something that you can relate to players who will be experiencing this for the first time, and what to expect when they walk out like that?
I think it's always about trying to, every game you go into for players who haven't experienced it before, to try and give them an idea of what to expect. One, so they're not kind of caught off guard, but also to look forward to that, to relish the opportunity. There's a lot of our players as well that have played here before. A lot of the Hearts players. It's not as if there's a lot of players that haven't played in the derby. So, from that point of view, I think it is always good to try and give them an idea of what they're going into. But you don't want to make it something they need to be, overhype it as well, and then you start to do things you wouldn't normally do. So it should, as I've already said, they should really be looking forward to the game. It's the brilliant days, especially if you come out with a positive result, and that is a challenge for the players.
And finally for me then, it does seem that there's a lot of focus on this game at the moment. Hibs not too far away from clicking. Hearts have certainly clicked this season. Lots of noise about Rangers and Celtic potentially not being as good as they can be. Does that help this fixture in some way, that there is more of an expectation now on Hearts and Hibs to maybe push up towards the top end of the table?
I think that's always there from within anyway. Both clubs are massive clubs in Scottish football with really high expectation and demands, and that comes with pulling on the jersey every single week. The players know that, so that's something that doesn't go away. I think one of the derbies last year, the teams were 11th and 12th in the league, and it just changed the narrative, but at the same time it didn't make the game any easier or any harder. The derby is the derby, as I've already said. The form table goes out the window. It is all about the team that turns up, and we need to just concentrate on ourselves, knowing that if we can put a level of performance in of a very high level, we're a very good side and very hard to beat, and that has to be the only thing in the players' minds.
So always talked about managing the emotional side of these, having the energy but not pushing it too far. Were there things that were done in the build-up to the derbies last year where you went undefeated that are kind of touchstones for you, the things that you feel that you got right that you can replicate this time?
I think you're always looking at how you lead into every game, and that's something, as a staff, we try and be consistent all the time, but also make the players, as I've just touched on there, aware of what the challenge might be. We had a challenge a couple of weeks ago for some of the players going to Falkirk for the first time, having not been in the Premier League for a few seasons. What to expect? Well, you can just simple things like there's not a stand on the opposite side of the pitch, so the little things, if you've not looked at that, it's something that they could turn up and say, well, there's only 3 stands here. Little things like that. Some players aren't fussed about that, they just turn up and play. Other ones want all the information in the world. So I think it is about being consistent in your approach to every game, making sure all the players are aware of what you believe gives them the best chance to go and perform and put in the best performance possible.
For a lot of these players having experienced a victory at Tynecastle in this fixture, does that help just in terms of the environment, feeling comfortable but knowing what it is that they're going into?
I think it does. I think it certainly should, for the players' point of view. We should take the confidence from, as I've just said, a lot of the players have been there before. A lot of the players were there last season, and I think last year was the first time we'd won there in 5 years. So it shows that the players can take the credit from, and the positives from, the fact we went there and won. Also, the level of performance that's required, the type of game it's going to be, as I've just said, the intensity, the speed of the game, that's something else that's really, really quick. And as I've already said, it's the team that manages to settle the quickest usually is the one that comes out on top. And I think it's something that you've already touched on, the emotional side to the game, and it is about being disciplined within that as well, and not allowing your emotions to get the better of you and trying to be calm in that chaos. And that's, I'm sure, both managers will try to say that to the players.
How different a team or Hearts to prepare for now than they were last season, the new personnel and the way that Derek McInnes has got them playing now?
Yeah, I think every team's different. Every game you go into, you look at every team's strengths and their weaknesses, and areas in which you feel you can try and get an upper hand in the game, and that doesn't change regardless of opponent. One thing you're adding to it, that this Hearts team at this moment in time, is they're full of confidence. They've got really good individuals. The same last season, they had good individuals last season, good players that can hurt you all over the pitch. And as I've already said, the manager's very experienced at the level, and it's got all the makings of what I believe should be a good derby.
How do you go about making sure the players do have that calm mind before they head out, having been there yourself and knowing how difficult it can be?
Yeah, I think it's just, one, trusting your players. Giving them all the information is something we always talk about, so I've just said that, making sure they know exactly what to expect, have a clear game plan of what we're trying to do for us, not worrying about the opposition too much. Everything will be geared up to what we're trying to do. And I think once you get there, once you start to hear the noise, and obviously it's a later kick-off as well, everything else that goes with that, I'm sure it's got all the makings of a brilliant atmosphere, the expectation and around both clubs, going in it in good form and good place off the pitch as well. So I think from all that, if it's got all the makings of a really good game, and I think as a player, you should just be looking forward to these games.
Do you feel Hearts maybe had a slightly bit more pressure on them heading into this derby because of where they are in the league and the form that they come into the game in?
No, I think, as I've already said, the league form, how you're playing at the minute, the pressure is always on the team that you represent to win the derby. And I think that doesn't go away, whether you're top of the league, bottom of the league, 11th in the league, 12th in the league like we were last season at the time. The pressure is, the expectation is you want to try and win against your local rivals, and there's no better place to win as a Hibs player would be at Tynecastle.
Are any of you and Manny or you the mix for the weekend?
Not for the weekend. Alessana's still not. He's back on the grass running, which is good. His hamstring injury was quite significant, so he's not. He's still a few weeks away from that. With the international break will help, which gives him a bit more time on the grass. Joe Newell's more positive. Won't be available for this weekend, but has trained with the group this week, which is really positive. He's got a bit of a big week coming up next week with international break. He won't have the full break off, building him up, and then hopefully have a full week's training where there's no real interruptions, fully involved without. Sometimes you can use them as floaters and spare players and things like that to protect him a little bit, but try and get him right back up to speed, because he has been out for obviously a significant period of time now. But it's a big step forward for him, having came through training. I can see him back on the grass today, around the boys in the boxes today, really enjoying it. And I know he's certainly missed it, and we've missed him having around because of the standards he sets and drives every day. So that's real positive for him. He just needs to keep progressing.
Have you got a bit of a decision to make with your centre halves? I know you have it all the time, but particularly this weekend it feels like you've got to get 5 into 3 basically. That's
the same every week. I think that doesn't go away. It's a brilliant headache to have. I think when you look at a lot of people, obviously they hit clean sheet at Celtic Park last week and what that looks like. But I'm a big believer in that starts right for the very front. It's 11 players who are on the pitch at any one time that are all pulling towards that clean sheet. Starts right for the very front, and there's no different in every single game we go into. So there's always headaches. I've got a lot of players that can play dual positions as well. So it's about putting a team together that we believe gives us the best chance to try and get 3 points tomorrow.
How much heart do you take from the recent record against Hearts, unbeaten in 4, not lost at Tynecastle since January 23?
Listen, you could go around all the stats, and I think Brian already mentioned earlier, there's lots of stats around the fixture. As I say, the one that matter will be the one at the very end of the game. I think the one thing we do need to take confidence from was the fact that the players went there last season and won, because it is something that hadn't been done for a while, and I think that's just to make sure you're going there with the confidence and belief to go and put on a good performance and try and come back with 3 points.
David, you mentioned speaking to new players coming in who are going to be playing in this fixture for the first time. Jack Ardian said that he didn't fully understand the magnitude of this fixture until he actually played in it. Can you fully prepare new players going into that game for the first time, or is it just a case of you need to be on the pitch?
Clearly not, because I tried it with Jack last season and that never worked, obviously. So no, I think, as I say, everybody, you can only do what you can, which is to try and prepare them as best you can. And I can understand why you would say that, because until you really experience it and you're involved in it, no, they are 2 massive clubs with real passionate fans. 2 clubs in the one city, what that means to going to the work on Monday morning and everything that goes with that, the magnitude of that game. And maybe if you played down south, which Jack had last season, I've played down south myself, when you have derbies and what that looks like, that's just something a wee bit different with the Edinburgh derby that obviously I've been fortunate enough to be involved in for a while now. And again, the players that haven't been involved in it, we will be mentioning it to them about what to expect. But as soon as they get to the stadium and they start to feel the noise around the stadium and that first whistle at kick-off, the noise, they should all look forward to it. And the one thing I'll always say to the players going into this game is make sure you enjoy it. And you only really enjoy it when you get a positive result, but they are brilliant games to be involved in.
And it's a first Edinburgh derby for Derek McInnes in the dugout. Any advice for him?
I've got no advice for Derek McInnes now. I'm pretty sure he'll be very well organised and ready to go. I'm looking forward to it, I'm sure.